Craigslist is like a digital thrift store run by lunatics. You never know if you'll find a hidden treasure or something so bizarre that it haunts you forever. Today, we're counting down 101 of the strangest, funniest, and most ridiculous listings ever posted in the US. So before we start, hit that like button and tell us in the comments. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen for sale online? Alright, let's begin. First, a 50-foot inflatable T-Rex for sale in Texas. The seller promised it had only a few minor holes, which is like saying, this boat only leaks a little. Would you risk your neighbor's sanity with this giant inflatable beast? Second, a giant rhino-shaped piñata, already used. Selling a massive rhino piñata. Still in good condition, though it has been beaten with sticks. Candy not included. Imagine the disappointment of a kid smashing it open only to find nothing. Third, someone in California was giving away free jars of belly button lint. The post explained that the lint had been carefully collected over 12 years and was being offered for creative art projects. Creative? Sure. Disturbing? Absolutely. But the real question is, who actually took them? Fourth, a pet rock named Dwayne was up for sale, and it came fully equipped with an adoption certificate, a tiny leash, and even a miniature bed. The seller insisted that Dwayne was low maintenance, extremely obedient, and a great listener. I mean, if you're going to sell a pet rock, you might as well fully commit to the bit. But let's be real. Who needs a leash for a pet rock? Fifth, a slightly used coffin in New York. According to the seller, it had been only used once for a photo shoot. That should be reassuring, but somehow it makes things way worse. I have so many questions. Who was in it? What kind of photo shoot was this? And why does it smell faintly of regret? Sixth, a slightly greasy potato chip, smelling faintly of salt and vinegar, shaped like Elvis's face. The seller called it Divine Rock and Roll Intervention and priced it at $1,000. I love Elvis, but I'm not paying rent money for a greasy relic. Would you? Seventh, a man in Florida tried to sell his loyal imaginary friend for $99. He described the friend as great company, decent at poker, but absolutely terrible at splitting rent. The best part? The post ended with, serious inquiries only. Imagine the phone calls that guy got. Eighth, a vintage arcade machine that only works when it feels like it. The seller called it quirky and claimed that yelling at it sometimes made it function properly. Sounds less like an arcade game and more like a toxic relationship, but hey, to each their own. Ninth, a half-eaten vanilla wedding cake with buttercream frosting slightly smudged. The description claimed, still good if you scrape off the stale icing, because nothing says fresh start like eating a stranger's abandoned wedding dessert. Would you eat leftover wedding cake from Craigslist? Let us know in the comments. 10th, a golden retriever costume for chickens. The seller promised it would make chickens feel more confident. I didn't even know chickens had self-esteem issues, but apparently there's a market for therapy costumes in the poultry community. 11th, a giant block of cheese labeled emotional support cheddar. The post reassured buyers that while it couldn't provide therapy, it could be a comforting presence in difficult times. Honestly, relatable. 12th, a bag of rare air from Colorado was listed for $250. The description? Bottled on a crisp mountain morning. Breathe in the adventure. I have to ask, if you buy this air, are you supposed to sip it like fine wine? 13th, a one-eyed taxidermy squirrel holding a tiny sword. It was advertised as great for medieval-themed decor or scaring off burglars. If you broke into someone's house and saw that staring at you, wouldn't you just turn around and leave? 14th, a creamy life-size butter sculpture of Abraham Lincoln, smelling faintly of dairy. The seller advised, not recommended for outdoor use in summer. Gee, thanks. Be honest, if you could sculpt any historical figure out of butter, who would it be? And more importantly, would you actually eat it? 15th, a functioning missile silo turned underground home in Kansas. For just $3 million, you could own the ultimate doomsday bunker, complete with reinforced blast doors and a surprisingly nice living room. Now the real question, Are we impressed or deeply concerned? 16th. A handwritten map leading to something interesting. Mysterious hand-drawn map for sale. No guarantees, but the seller claims it leads to something interesting. Could be treasure. Could be a really nice tree. Buyer assumes all risks. 17th. A giant wooden giraffe converted into a mailbox. The seller called it a unique way to make mail fun again, because apparently, opening bills wasn't already exciting enough. The giraffe stood 7 feet tall, meaning the mailman probably needed a step stool just to deliver your letters. But hey, at least your neighbors would never mistake your house for someone else's. 18th. A jar of toenail clippings collected over 10 years. Described as great for witchcraft, DNA experiments, or gross-out pranks. Now I have to ask, who wakes up one morning and decides, you know what? I should start a toenail collection. And even worse, who buys it? Craigslist, you scare me. 19th. A time-traveling toaster. The listing was surprisingly detailed, explaining that it only worked if you believed hard enough. The seller even included a testimonial from a previous owner who claimed they once made toast before even putting the bread in. Either that's some next-level technology or someone just forgot how time works. 20th. A dark chocolate bust of Nicolas Cage with a faint sheen of cocoa butter. The post insisted it was too beautiful to eat, but also technically edible. I don't know, if the apocalypse hits, I'm eating Nicolas Cage. Which celebrity deserves to be immortalized in chocolate? 21st. A personal hype man service. Available 24/7. For $50 a week, I'll follow you around and hype you up. Walking into a meeting? Boom! Here comes the legend. Ordering coffee? Ladies and gentlemen, a true caffeine connoisseur. No refunds if your confidence skyrockets. 22nd. A used parachute described as mostly reliable. The seller reassured buyers that it worked fine last time, but then immediately added, no refunds. If that's not the biggest red flag in Craigslist history, I don't know what is. 23rd. A zombie-proof bunker in the middle of the desert. The listing boasted that it was 100% ready for the apocalypse and came with reinforced steel doors, solar panels, and an emergency food supply. Now, was it overpriced? Definitely. But let's be real. If you ever needed a zombie-proof hideout, Craigslist is probably exactly where you'd find one. 24th. A bathtub overflowing with squeaky rubber ducks, each one a different color and design. The ad said, perfect for stress relief or complete insanity. At what point does a normal rubber duck collection turn into a full-blown problem? 25th. A wedding dress for sale with the description, worn once, bad luck included for free. Apparently, the previous owner had an extremely short-lived marriage and was hoping to get rid of the dress and whatever bad karma came with it. Honestly, that's a better sales pitch than most bridal shops. 26th. A framed, official certificate of ownership for the moon. A framed certificate was up for sale, claiming the buyer would become the official owner of the moon. I have so many questions, starting with, who exactly is issuing these, and how do we evict Neil Armstrong? 27th. A fully functional medieval catapult. For only $3,000, you could literally own a weapon from the Middle Ages. The seller warned, buyer is responsible for transporting, which is hilarious, because how do you even move a catapult? Just imagine pulling up to your local U-Haul. Yeah, I need a trailer big enough for my medieval siege weapon. 28th. A $1 bill listed for $500 because it had special energy. The post insisted that this wasn't just any $1 bill. It had been charged with positive cosmic vibrations and could bring immense luck and wealth to its new owner. I think I'll just keep my regular dollar bills, thanks. 29th. A single sock with a note. If found, return to another dimension. Someone listed a single, lonely sock with a note attached. If found, return to another dimension. So, is this proof of the Bermuda Triangle of laundry? Or are we dealing with a sock from the upside down? 30th. A set of dentures labeled only worn twice. First of all, twice is still twice too many. Second, who even buys used dentures? Some deals just aren't worth the savings. Okay, I need to know. Would any of you consider buying a brick from a haunted house? Or are you smarter than that? 31st. A functioning cannon from the 1800s. The listing simply stated, still works. Buyer must handle transportation. Excuse me, still works? As in, someone tested this? The idea of some guy in his backyard just casually firing off a 200-year-old cannon for fun is both terrifying and extremely American. 32nd. A single peanut that looked like a tiny walrus listed for $25. No additional description, no backstory. Just one peanut and a blurry photo of something that maybe looked like a walrus if you squinted really hard. The best part? Someone in the comments was seriously inquiring about shipping costs. 33rd. A life-size alien statue that had mysteriously appeared in someone's backyard. Instead of questioning how or why it got there, the homeowner's first instinct was to list it on Craigslist. Because obviously, when an unexplainable alien figure materializes on your property, selling it is the logical next step. 34th. A gigantic stuffed bear that takes up too much space in my marriage. Apparently, this bear was so enormous that it physically occupied half of their bed. The post mentioned that the spouse had given an ultimatum. It's me or the bear. Imagine getting dumped over a teddy bear that's probably bigger than your car. 35th. A cold metallic suit of armor, ready for battle or cosplay. The seller admitted they had never tested it in an actual fight. Missed opportunity. What's the most ridiculous thing you'd wear for cosplay? 36th. A box labeled mystery stuff. No questions asked for $10. The listing emphasized that the buyer must agree not to open it in public. Okay, now I need to know. What's inside this box? Stolen government secrets? An old VHS tape that summons a demon? A collection of wigs? Craigslist, you never fail to disturb me. 37th. A collection of 378 bottle caps. No duplicates. Every single cap has a story. Some were found, some were traded, and some were pried off with sheer determination. Will not split the set. Buyer must appreciate the art of bottle cap collecting. 38th. A medieval-style wooden throne, built for a cat. Custom-built cat throne, fit for a feline king. Seller notes that their cat never used it because he prefers the floor like some kind of peasant. Comes with a tiny royal cushion. 39th. A chicken nugget that resembles George Washington. Priced at $150, the seller insisted that this was the most historically significant nugget ever found. You know, just in case Mount Rushmore ever needs a fast food edition. 40th. A homemade tinfoil hat to block mind control waves. It was scientifically designed to keep out government tracking signals and alien probes. Do you think tinfoil hats actually work? Let's discuss. 41st. A parrot that knows too many curse words. The owner said they were rehoming their parrot because it had learned too much profanity from overhearing arguments. Reportedly, the bird had a full repertoire of insults and could roast you harder than your worst enemy. Honestly, that's a selling point, not a drawback. 42nd. A gently used wedding ring with a listing that just said, mistakes were made. No explanation, no details. Just a ring and a very vague but extremely tragic backstory. 43rd. A life-size statue of Dobby from Harry Potter. The description read, freaks out house guests, perfect for fans or pranks. Imagine walking into someone's living room at night and just seeing this in the corner. Instant heart attack. 44th. A three-wheeled unicycle. I had to read the listing twice to process that. 3 wheels on a unicycle? That's just a tricycle with extra steps. 45th. A collection of vintage air trapped in Ziploc bags. Each bag was labeled with a specific location and year, like New York City, 1997, or Disneyland, 2005. Look, I respect nostalgia, but I draw the line at inhaling it. 46th. A miniature guillotine for cutting fruit dramatically. The seller swore it was fully functional, perfect for slicing cucumbers with historical flair. Because sometimes you just need to feel like a French revolutionary while prepping your salad. 47th. A framed autographed photo of someone's grandma. It wasn't a celebrity. It wasn't a historical figure. It was just some random old lady in a fancy frame, smiling proudly at the camera. The post said, "We don't know who she is, but she looks important." 48th. A partially melted garden gnome. The seller listed it as abstract modern art and priced it at $75. Look, I get that art is subjective, but at some point, we have to draw a line between art and accidentally left this in the sun too long. 49th. A tiny house built entirely out of recycled pizza boxes. The seller bragged that it was 100% eco-friendly but also warned that it was not waterproof or fire-resistant. No kidding? You're telling me that a house made of greasy cardboard might have some structural issues? Who knew? 50th. A single shoelace listed for $10,000. The post just said, "It's special." You wouldn't understand. Okay, but for that price, I need a backstory. Did this shoelace survive a near-death experience? Was it blessed by a monk? Does it grant superpowers? Craigslist, I demand answers. What's the weirdest thing you've seen so far? And be honest. Would you buy the cursing parrot? 51st. A homemade jetpack. That works. Kind of. The seller admitted that it technically functioned, but only for about 5 seconds at a time before things got unstable. I have so many questions. Did they test it? Did they survive testing it? And most importantly, who on Craigslist is willing to risk their life for a discount jetpack? 52nd. A full-body Bigfoot costume worn once to scare my neighbor. The post read, "Mission accomplished. Selling now before he calls the cops." Look, I respect a prank that goes all in, but if law enforcement is getting involved, you might have taken it one step too far. 53rd. A door with no house. Literally just a random door listed as a great conversation piece or an incredible practical joke. Imagine buying this and putting it in the middle of your lawn like a mysterious portal to another dimension. 54th. A mystery vending machine with no key. The seller found it abandoned in a parking lot and had no idea what was inside. Could be snacks from the 90s. Could be gold bars. Could be an ancient curse. One buyer commented, "You had me at mystery." 55th. A fully decorated Christmas tree for sale in July. The ad simply stated, "Already decorated. You just have to believe." It was 7 feet tall, covered in tinsel, and even had candy canes still attached. Either someone gave up on Christmas too late, or this tree was refusing to leave on its own. 56th. A banana labeled, "Possibly haunted." The seller claimed that every time they left it on the counter, it moved slightly. While most of us would just call this ripening, they were convinced it had paranormal tendencies. The best part? The ad ended with, "I'm too scared to eat it, but maybe you're braver than me." Imagine buying a banana for the thrill of it. 57th. A homemade UFO detector. The seller promised it could sense alien activity within a 50-mile radius and was tested multiple times with no false alarms. But when asked if it had ever actually detected a UFO, they replied, "Not yet, but that just means it's working." That's some next-level marketing confidence. 58th. A traffic cone signed by an NBA player. The catch? The seller had no idea which player signed it. The ad optimistically suggested, could be LeBron, could be a rookie, could be a guy who just really likes cones. If anything, this is the Craigslist equivalent of a lottery ticket. 59th. An uncannily realistic wax figure of Danny DeVito, dressed in a rumpled suit. The ad warned, "Unsettling at night." Buddy, I'd argue this is unsettling 24/7. 60th. A DIY roller coaster made from shopping carts and wooden planks. The seller described it as thrilling but slightly dangerous, which is definitely not the safety endorsement you want. They also mentioned that helmets are strongly recommended but not included. Translation: You're on your own, buddy. 61st. A fortune-telling goldfish. It was supposedly trained to swim left for yes and right for no when you asked it a question. In other words, a completely normal fish that just swam in random directions. But hey, if people can believe in magic 8 balls, why not a clairvoyant goldfish? 62nd. A framed photo of a cat dressed as Abraham Lincoln. The seller insisted it was a piece of American history. The best part? They were asking $150 for it, claiming it would be the centerpiece of any patriotic home. Honestly, if I had money to burn, I'd almost consider it. 63rd. A lawn flamingo collection described as emotionally attached but willing to sell. The seller had named all 37 flamingos and wrote a small backstory for each one. My personal favorite? Gerald, the fearless leader who once survived a tornado. Honestly, I respect the commitment. 64th. A working guillotine for cutting fruit dramatically. The seller reassured potential buyers that it was technically functional for other things, but let's not go there. I love how they felt the need to clarify that, because when someone's selling a guillotine, you know someone else is thinking it. 65th. A DVD of Shrek 2 that was allegedly haunted. The seller claimed that every time they watched it, all sound disappeared except for Donkey's voice. Imagine hearing only Eddie Murphy's dialogue for 2 straight hours. Honestly, that might be an improvement. 66th. A car for sale, but only if you agreed to take the seller's mother-in-law too. The ad was brutally honest. Car runs great. MIL does not. No further explanation. Either this is the best deal ever, or the setup for a terrible sitcom. 67th. A home-built submarine described as mostly floats. Sorry, but mostly is not what I want to hear when buying something that determines whether I live or drown. 68th. A taxidermy rat holding a tiny violin. The listing described it as the perfect gift for someone going through a breakup. Because nothing screams, "I understand your pain," like a tiny rodent dramatically playing its sorrows away. 69th. A single sock described as a tragic loss, but a great find. The seller wrote a dramatic story about how it had been separated from its twin in a laundry accident. Either this is performance art, or someone has way too much free time. 70th. A fully operational animatronic Chuck E. Cheese band. The post claimed it still played music, but only when it wants to. The fact that it moves on its own is already terrifying, but imagine waking up at 3 a.m. and hearing a robotic rat singing "Happy Birthday." Nope. 71st. A tiny coffin for a pet hamster. The seller emphasized that it was handmade with love and respect. But the most unsettling part was the phrase, "unused." For now. Why include that detail? Are they expecting a tiny tragedy soon? Also, does the hamster know what's coming? 72nd. A bag of grass clippings labeled "Organic Lawn Memories." For just $5, you could take home a piece of some guy's backyard. The listing promised 100% real grass, freshly cut with love. But the real question is, why would anyone pay for a Ziploc bag of dead grass? Nostalgia? A prank? A highly specific crime scene setup? 73rd. A highly detailed painting of a single potato. A large, dramatic oil painting of a potato. Not a basket of potatoes. Not a farm scene. Just one single, gloriously detailed potato. Buyer must have refined taste. 74th. A set of Legos glued together and labeled modern art. So basically, a failed Lego project listed for $200. Look, I respect a good hustle, but come on. 75th. A rental listing. Only for people who can play the accordion. 1-bedroom apartment available, but only for accordion players. Must provide proof of accordion skills. No exceptions. Bagpipes also considered. 76th. A full suit of armor, made entirely of duct tape. Handcrafted full-body suit of armor made entirely from duct tape. Surprisingly flexible. Seller claims it probably won't stop a sword, but will make you look cool in a parking lot duel. 77th. A Pet Rock Training Manual, signed by the author. First edition Pet Rock Training Guide. Learn how to teach your rock tricks like stay and exist. Comes autographed by the original owner, who insists this book changed their life. 78th. A half-melted garden gnome advertised as abstract art. The seller insisted that it was still functional as a gnome, but it looked more like a horror movie prop. The ad concluded with, "Great for scaring neighbors or confusing mailmen." 79th. A set of lucky used dentures. The seller claimed they brought good fortune, but who's actually buying secondhand teeth for luck? The final sentence sealed the deal. Only worn twice. That's twice too many. 80th. A life-size cardboard cutout of a man named Greg. This is Greg. Greg is 6 feet 1, slightly faded and has a calming presence. He's been to weddings, birthday parties, and at least one camping trip. Seller is moving and can't take Greg with them. Serious inquiries only. 81st. A jar labeled air from the inside of a haunted house. The post insisted it had trapped supernatural energy, but really, you're just buying a jar of regular air. How do you even verify that it's haunted? Do you just sniff it and hope for the best? 82nd. A single glove described as definitely not involved in any crimes. The listing had no further details, which makes it 10 times more suspicious. 83rd. A taxidermy raccoon holding a miniature beer can. The seller described it as a conversation starter. Yeah, I bet. The conversation probably starts with, "Why do you own this?" 84th. A slightly inaccurate star chart. A beautifully framed star map, showing the night sky exactly as it appeared on the seller's birthday, except it's not their birthday, or their city, or their century. Just take it. 85th. A set of 3 identical wedding dresses. The seller explained that they bought the same dress 3 times. Just in case. Just in case. What? What kind of wedding disaster requires 3 backup gowns? 86th. A home-built medieval catapult described as functional but untested. So, does it work? Or are we just guessing? The ad suggested, great for launching pumpkins or settling neighborhood disputes. Love the versatility. 87th. A conspiracy theory starter kit. Everything you need to start your own conspiracy theory. A corkboard, red string, newspaper clippings, and a free starter theory about how pigeons are secretly government drones. 88th. A classified ad looking for a time-traveling companion. Seeking adventurous individual to join me on a time travel mission. Must bring their own snacks. Preference given to applicants who understand paradoxes and don't ask too many questions. 89th. A cactus labeled, "Do not anger." A potted cactus was up for sale with the warning, "Do not anger." The seller refused to explain why, just adding, "You'll understand if you do." Look, I don't know what this cactus has been through, but I'm not taking any chances. 90th. A framed newspaper clipping from 1987 with no context. The seller refused to say why it was important, just that you'll understand when you see it. Okay, now I need to see it. 91st. A frozen pizza that looks like it has a face. The post had a blurry photo of a pizza with some very questionable pepperoni placement. They were asking $50 for it. Craigslist, never change. 92nd. A single cornflake claimed to resemble the state of Texas. Seller insists this is a one-of-a-kind collectible and is asking $200. No bites yet, but honestly, it's only a matter of time before a hardcore cereal enthusiast takes the plunge. 93rd. A bathtub filled with rubber ducks. The seller didn't explain why they had hundreds of rubber ducks, just that they were ready for a new home. What happened here? Did they lose a bet? Start a duck-worshipping cult? 94th. A single glove, advertised as the chosen one. One left-handed leather glove. Seller refuses to explain why it's special, but insists it must find the right person. Buyer beware. Destiny may be involved. 95th. A rock collection, sorted by personality. Selling a collection of 53 rocks, carefully sorted based on vibes. Some are confident, some are nervous, and one is definitely plotting something. No, I will not explain further. 96th. A single shoe found in the woods. No pair, no backstory, just one lonely, weathered sneaker with the eerie description, "Whoever wore this never came back for it." Look, either this is a clue from an unsolved mystery, or someone just wanted to add some extra horror to an already sketchy listing. 97th. A bunch of coat hangers described as possibly sentient. The seller claimed they kept multiplying no matter how many they threw away. Their words: "I counted 10, went to bed, and in the morning there were 12. Either someone is pranking them, or they've accidentally discovered a new breed of self-replicating objects. 98th. A mystery box. Contents will haunt you forever. For $10, you can buy a mystery box. Seller refuses to disclose what's inside, but promises it's something you'll never forget. No returns, no takebacks, no mercy. 99th. A mystery vending machine with no key. The seller had no idea what was inside. Could be ancient snacks, money, or a portal to another dimension. For $100, are you buying this blind? 100th. A used engagement ring with the description, "This ring deserves better than me." It's rare to see a Craigslist ad that hits you right in the emotions. This one? Pure heartbreak in one sentence. 101st. A box labeled, "Do not open." Instead of ending with a "do not open" box, we're going out with something even more absurd. A jar of pickles labeled, "Guaranteed to cure any ailment." The description claimed these pickles were blessed by an old man in Alabama who saw Bigfoot once. For only $5, you could own the world's most powerful cucumbers. Which one of these blew your mind the most? Drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more insane stories like this. See you next time.